Live from New York, it's Ask This Ham Radio Operator.
Hey.
Congratulations.
CQ.
Ask This Engineer.
Hey everybody, welcome to an Ask Engineer. It's me, Ladyada. I am the engineer. On call with me is Mr. Ladyada, who does camera control in the chats and coming up with the codes and stuff.
I do some things.
We've got all, you do some things.
I do
We've got a lovely show tonight with all sorts of things. We're got this like
You're on air. Look at this.
on-air sign that we 3D printed. We'll talk about that a little bit.
We have 2 on-air signs.
Yeah, well, this one's going to go home with me tonight.
Okay.
We're going to put this on the desk, so when we're on air at home, we can be on air. So we got codes and discounts and new products. Why don't you get people started on what they have to look forward to?
On tonight's show, the code is extra, 10% off in the Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Everything except for gift certificates and software. Extra, why? We'll tell you why very soon.
Extra, extra, real about it.
Show and tell, showing, sharing, projects, and more from people around the world. If you've never seen a show and tell, watch tonight's. It's actually why we do what we do every single week. Mailbag, packet mailbag's gonna stop by, and we're gonna read some letters from you. Viewers, readers, customers, community, friends, and fans. Help wanted. This is the Adafruit Jobs Board, the best place online to post your skills. And if you're a cool maker company, post what you're looking for, which is probably a maker with cool skills. Time travel, look back in the world of makers, hackers, artists, and engineers. 3D printing, some Pi news, new products, everyone's favorite segment. Answer your questions. We're going to have a trivia question, all that and more on Ask an Engineer. All right. Okay, Ladyada, let's do this thing. Let's pay some bills.
Okay.
Yeah, extra is a code. Just use that on checkout. You get 10% off.
Everything except gift certificates and software we are not permitted to discount. But everything else, including the new products, is 10% off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Adafruit doesn't have any loans or venture capital. We are supported by you, the viewers out there.
Aren't we owned by some gigantic electronic conglomerate?
No.
No, we are not.
No.
It's just us.
If it made things better for everyone, we would do it. But right now, it looks like having Ladyada run the show is working out for everybody. So we're going to keep doing that.
We're independent, and that means we can do whatever we want. But part of that means we also have to sell electronics to pay the bills.
Okay, so it's electronics you make, so that's good. If you're in New York, we have our same day delivery stuff going on. So before 11 a.m. on checkout, you will be able to get same day delivery if it's a zip code in the New York area that we do same day delivery to. Free deals going on right now, $200 or more in the Adafruit store. It's free UPS ground in the continental US. We're returning to some freebies soon, but right now this is the freebie thing. It's still a good deal. Good deal. Nothing to shake a stick at.
Free shipping is great.
Yeah.
And it's like quality shipping. It's like you actually get trackable shipping and it will show up when it says it's going to show up, and they'll retry delivery a couple times. It's worth it.
In one of the many publications I like to read, this is Parcel Magazine.
I love Parcel Magazine.
I like to read Parcel Magazine.
Parcel Magazine is actually kind of fun.
I was looking at the on-time rates, and like Postal is decreasing every year, and lost packages is increasing for Postal, and UPS is doing really good. I'm glad that's one of our carriers. So anyways, it's working out.
That's fine.
Next up, programming note. You're watching Ask an Engineer every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and Show and Tell, which is every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This is part of the Adafruit Live network of shows. We had some Deaths of Ladyada this week and last week. So why don't you talk about some of the ones that you had?
Okay, well, we started on the bottom. Microcontroller status register for fun and bootloader profit. Okay, that was a video that we did about how to look at the microcontroller status register. Every microcontroller has one, and it can help you, especially when you have a bootloader, to detect whether you should skip the bootloader or stay in the bootloader. And what I did is I modified the bootloader for an upcoming board, so you have to double click it to get into the bootloader. And if you don't, it'll automatically just start the user program. And I just wanted, it's a usability thing, which I thought was kind of neat. So check that out. At SamR check-in, I actually went back and started working again on the at SamR, which is really neat. It's a Cortex M0 with a 2.4 gigahertz mesh Zigbee whatever radio built in. And I did a sort of first bring up of the core and made a bootloader and just sort of got like the basics of it programming through the Bossa utility. And then we had an update about my ham radio exam, which we'll talk about later, and we'll maybe show some clips.
Okay.
So that was from last night.
And we have Watch Tony D's Desk. We had 3 videos. One was MicroPython on Feather ESP8266, part 2. It's a follow-up from, you guessed it, part 1. And then Raspberry Pi Talking to Wi-Fi Things, part 1 with Tony D. So if you want to watch probably one of the most epic series that is going on about the programming, the code, and actually building things from start to finish. We specifically started these on Twitch, and it's very long form. So they're like 50 minutes of using all of this stuff. And Tony's one of probably the best people in the world that do electronics with Python. So anyways.
Yeah, I like how like every week the Python Weekly is always like, check out Tony D's stuff. It's really neat, and people like it. It's Tony D is like, it's not that common to have someone who knows both the computer side so well and the electronic side so well, and being able to bridge the both with Python. That's pretty neat. Like,
so
yeah,
check it out. And of course, we started a new series, Pseudo Random with Colin. It's taken off. We of course had another segment.
Hi.
Yeah, hi.
We're a keyboard.
Yeah, this is.
We have come for your keyboard.
This is Keyboard Show. So this show was all about mechanical keyboards, and turns out it was a bigger hit than we expected. Everybody has a keyboard that they like. There's all sorts of different types of keys. There's cherry and the colors, and there's Gatagon, or like all these different.
My favorite thing is the keyboard, the key remover. Which
the key remover.
I'm just like, wow, this device is amazing.
Yeah, we took some beautiful photos of these keyboards.
These are Colin Cunningham's.
And this is Colin's.
He has
and
keyboards.
He has a keyboard remover, and you can see like all this neat stuff. I got to pull out the next keyboard and this cool Arduino project that we did. And you know, the show was 40 minutes. It is a deep dive. I'm going to steal that. Tony says that, a deep dive into mechanical keyboards. And you know,
in depth.
And you know, like
I learned a lot.
I was looking around on the web, and like folks on Reddit love the show. Like, it's neat. Like it in places that, you know, sometimes a 40-minute show of electronics, either it's just thumbs up or thumbs down. There was people really participating in neat ways, because it's very personal. Everyone has a thing. So in the pseudo randoms, one of the things we do is we usually have like kind of a music video in it. It's kind of the break. And so I want to play that now. Enjoy. Yeah, it's like that.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah, so...
Do you want to see that for 40 minutes? You can.
Yeah, so check it out, and we'll be posting that music video later. Okay, show and tell. Every week, People show and share their projects from around the world. Ladyada, it is our favorite half an hour every single week. High level. What was shared this week?
Then we had some really, really amazing people showing off their projects. I mean, they're always great, but like really, this is one is it's pretty amazing to see what people are doing with electronics, and so many different ways that electronics have affected and touched people's lives and improved their lives. Tony D just he just came in and gave an update about that Python stuff. He's refactoring the Python library. Thank you so much, Tony D. It's my fault, but he's cleaning up my mess. Thank you. He also did a bunch of streams we talked about, including ESP8266 MicroPython, playing around with it. He says it's awesome. We promoted a Kickstarter that they were doing to raise funds to do even more with it. Pedro and Noe showed off a Raspberry Pi Zero enclosure and that on-air sign that they were talking about. This is a new project for this week that'll be live tomorrow. 3D Hangouts with Noah and Pedro, so check that out every Thursday. Chris Young has been working on a chest-mounted joystick holder. He has to use a joystick to move his wheelchair around. And he said he used to use his hand, but he can no longer use his hand to control his wheelchair. And he said it's actually been a few months since he's been able to move around in his wheelchair on his own. He used to have someone push him around as necessary, but now he's 3D printed this piece, he designed it, and it holds the joystick so he can move it with his lip. Or his tongue perhaps, and then he can drive around. He was showing himself driving around. So it's neat. The same technology that people use to make little robots can be used to control big robots that carry humans. Richard A came in, showed off these cute laser cut garden signs that he's planting in his garden, and in his hacker space they have a ceiling cloud that shows the weather. And so they made an app with App Inventor, which is kind of interesting. I've never seen App Inventor that
control the hardware,
Yeah, it can control, when he presses it, I guess he uses Bluetooth, and then it changes the lights and the sounds.
Yeah,
so
I
when
figured
it's
a way
sunny,
to use, it uses a particle.
Yeah, it uses a particle. It was really neat. It was like a whole mix. It was like Wi-Fi and Internet of Things and a big
Adafruit
construction and a sound effect. So when it's raining, it's kind of flickering in blue and there's rain sounds. So that's kind of neat art. Trixie Bella had a really cool cyber violin. What did you call it again? You said it was a. Did you say cyber?
Cyberpunk violin.
Cyberpunk violin.
Yeah, cyberpunk violin.
It's
an FPGA violin.
Yeah, it's a violin,
cool.
Electric violin with an FPGA on it. And FPGA is doing spectrum analysis, and so when the violin is played, the LEDs light up. It's super cool. Thank you, Trixie, for showing off that really cool project. Trixie Bella.
Trixie Bella.
Sorry.
Trixie Bella.
It's Trixie Bella, one word, not Trixie Bella. My mistake. Brian B came in, and he also has some assistive technology that he's working on. So he's going through chemotherapy, and he has this device, this electronic device that is part of his chemotherapy. It's a portable device that he takes with him.
Yeah, and it's a big backpack and has a battery.
It's a
and then he has a cap. And the blue light has to stay on, has to know when it's resetting and all this stuff.
Yeah,
there's status involved.
I don't know exactly the details of the device, but I guess
he's doing an article. I'm going to send.
He's going to do an article because it's a big bag device. But what happens is when he's at work, sometimes he turns it off to have discussions with people, and then because I guess maybe it interrupts him or it's loud or something. But then he forgets to turn it back on, and there's no warning that tells you it's been off. So what he did is he made a color sensor with a Pro Mini. And a piezo, and it looks for the blue LED. And so if the blue LED is off for more than like 5 minutes, it beeps to let him know, hey, you forgot it. Which is funny because it's like people who are going through chemo, sometimes they get like chemo brain. They're more forgetful. So it's actually cruel for the inventors of this device, this therapy. They should have made it help.
Well, what's neat is this is a FDA approved device, so probably adding this feature will take a while if this is a desirable feature. But the person can improve upon it. Mm-hmm. And I think we're starting to see an intersection. So we have adafruitdaily.com, which has spam-free newsletters and it's just maker business and biohacking and 3D printing and cosplay. And I'm one of the authors on the biohacking newsletters and also the maker business one. And there's a huge intersection of assistive technology, but not from companies, from makers, because we can extend life, we can fix people, we can repair people, we can make their lives better, but a lot of us build stuff, and we can take this maker world and make it better for ourselves or someone we care about. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like this is.
I mean, these devices are really designed. I mean, they're designed, and it takes so long, and they're designed for a class of people who desperately need them. But everybody's needs are slightly different.
Yeah.
You know, depending on what therapy you're going through, or what assistive technology you need, and maybe you need multiple ones, and so like, oh, you can't use this one with this one; they're not compatible.
Yeah.
But with 3D printing for mechanical compatibility, because I think Christian came up on the show a couple weeks ago and he said there are these harnesses you can wear, but either they're too small or they're too big.
Yeah.
There wasn't one that could be adjusted so that he could use a joystick. Either they were for people who are much larger than him, or people like this. The way that he needs it is slightly different, and so he actually was able to use 3D printing to make like this perfect. And it's cool. It was like this blue 3D printed piece, and it had this holder, and and then he could move the joystick to be exactly
he said this is the first
location.
time since this summer. I think he's been able to zip around. So it's neat. Like people are taking this stuff and they're doing stuff with it. Like, you know, I have to say, like 3D printers, sometimes I get a little disappointed that it's just a bunch of like little trinkets. And I don't mean trinkets as our like development board. I just mean like, oh, it's just like, here's another little thing that's just going to get thrown away. But when I see stuff like this, it does give me hope that these have useful purposes, and the more that got out there, the better, and the lower the cost they are, the more people it'll impact. So check it out. Good show and tell this week.
Hopefully, when there's therapy groups or people who get together who have same needs and same assistive technologies, hopefully there'll be a maker or a makerspace that can collaborate with them to help them with technology. I know that Caleb Kraft does that with his
game controllers for kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, because the kids are usually very young. They're not.
Yeah. So we'll help get the word out. Like there's a lot of things. I think one of the things that we've tried to do with 3D printing, and Noah and Pedro are excellent at this, is showing like 3D printing can be used to extend, enhance, and do other things. And it makes things better. Like a lot of things that we do are enclosures, and the electronics work with it. There's things that it goes with. It's not just 3D printing for the sake of 3D printing.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's cool.
We had also, a couple more people. Aiden is working on soft robots and made parametric 3D adapters to go between tubings, which is actually really cool because he says like they're $25 each normally, and so out of the range of people who want to experiment with soft robotics. And now he's making it so you can just 3D print everything you need. Alec made an if this then that chimes. This is beautiful old clock chimes, like a grandfather clock, and he added solenoids to it, and it's in his house, and it chimes when like he gets a fax or something. So it's a very beautiful sounding alert, much nicer than a beep maybe. And then C. Scott showed off some of his old Paya kits, so that was really neat. And he talked about how the guy who ran Paya was a mentor to him and taught him a lot about electronics.
There's always someone that not only you can be inspired by, but you can inspire someone too.
Yeah.
So, all right, all participants on the show and tell get it as seen on the show and tell sticker. It's email support at adafruit.com. Every week we do the show and tell. Go to google.com/plus Adafruit and you'll see the show and tell link. There will be an invitation. You'll have to click it. We have so many people in the show and tell circle that the invites never make it in time by the time of the show. So we put the link manually there.
Click it.
I don't know if there's any other show and tells that have this many people.
You want to call up the Google toll-free number and ask them?
I think they're just keeping
There's no
Hangouts
toll-free
around live for us. But anyways, okay. Back in the mailbag. Hello. These are letters that we read to our all-company meeting called State of the Fruit every week. We also read them here. I placed an order at Adafruit for Raspberry Pi Model B and some accessories, in part due because I had received, due to help I've received here on the forum. Thanks to Adafruit support Mike. And part because of the wide selection of products and most importantly, the continued development of Adafruit product libraries and tutorials. I will continue to use Adafruit for my primary source of choice. Best regards, William. Thank you, William.
Thanks, William.
Okay. Next up, help wanted, Adafruit jobs boards. Okay, so I've got two. I'm going to do them really fast. So the jobs board is a place where anyone can post their skills or something they want a maker to help make them make. And then there's companies that want to find makers. So the first one I thought was super cute. Hi guys, I need your professional help. I'm looking for someone who could build an Arduino-based voice changer for a Batman armor costume. How much would it cost? Time and parts. Thank you for advance your reply. That's cool. So
if you want to help Batman,
yeah, maybe it's a kid, or maybe it's actually Bruce Wayne or whatever.
That'd be cool.
It's like
maybe you could be the next Q.
Do you make? Okay, and then the other one is distribution account manager for Particle IO in San Francisco. So Particle IO is hiring, they're in San Francisco. If you want to join a cool Internet of Things company, you know it's cool, we stock their stuff.
We stock their stuff.
We like their stuff.
And it's good.
And they posted their distribution account manager job. So if you're in San Francisco and you want to work for a cool IoT company, this is them. Okay, we keep moving. All right, some news in the world of open source hardware, Ladyada. I'm just gonna put you in the news here. So, here it is. This is what you were doing yesterday at this time.
That's me.
You were in front of the ABC building. And
back in time.
I'm gonna just play some videos here, and when there's stills, I'll tell a little bit of a story. And when there's video, the video will speak for itself. So here's you yesterday. Okay, Ladyada, what are we doing?
Hey, we're up at Midtown in front of ABC where I'm going to take my ham radio exam and hopefully pass. Got my trusty 31 TI-30XA calculator, pens and pencils, and I'm going to take my technician.
Okay, it's technician, and how long do you think this test is going to take you?
I'm going to give myself up to an hour to take these exams.
All right, let's go in.
All right.
Okay, we're in.
There's apparently a quarterly meeting going on. I'm going to crash it.
So then you took the test, and I was in the other room. And when you handed off your test, I watched the shock of the administrators of the test because you took all three, and you got perfect scores.
I did not get perfect scores. I got one question wrong.
Oh, you got one question wrong. But on multiple tests, you got perfect scores.
And I think on two of them. I don't actually get to see the score. They said so.
And I saw them and I heard them, and there you are afterwards. And they said, oh, the girl's got a triple header. You took all three.
Yeah, I guess
you did
I
excellent on them.
Triple header.
And here's a little bit of
you
video.
can take the test. Hey, I just took my license and a pass, which means in about a week I'm going to get my call sign. And then I can get one of those cool radios. I'm going to be on my 2 meter. It's going to be awesome.
Now you can go on any frequency you want now. You got to know
Any frequency you want. Pick one, use it.
All right, thanks, guys.
Talk to the moon.
And have a good time.
Bye-bye.
Have a good time.
And here's your temporary, or your showing that
My
you...
certificate of examination. It is my proof of my success. So what happens now? So you go there and actually you get to take as many of the exams. I mean, you start with the technician license and you can take that one. It's called the Element 2, and then they grade it right there because it's a circle dot type exam. So they grade it pretty much instantly. And then once you're done with that exam, if you would like, you don't even have to pay another fee. You can take the next exam. You only have to pay one fee for a sitting. So if you want, you can actually just take all three at once if you study for them. And that's kind of nice because you just get it over with. And then you basically have it for life. You can renew it every 10 years, but I don't even believe you have to take the exam again. Maybe they'll change the rules, but as of now, you can just renew it. So you only have to take it once, so I'm kind of done. I did take it a long time ago, but it expired, so I had to start.
Yeah, 95?
I took it in like 98 or 90.
Yeah.
Like that.
So congratulations, you did all three tests in one sitting.
Yeah, I'm done.
And you got perfect scores on some of the exams.
Yeah, some of them.
And when I overheard them, because I was in the other room, they were surprised because people normally don't come in and take all three.
They said it only happens once or twice a year.
Yeah, so good work, you.
Okay.
Okay, so next up, dronies. Don't forget, if you have a drone, or if you know someone with a drone, or if you've seen cool footage, enter the dronies, adafruit.com/dronies. It's our online film fest for drones. You can win one of these great 3D printed droney trophies.
And the weather's getting nice, so this is a perfect time.
Yeah, we kicked it back off this winter, so it's now on. Okay, Adafruit Learning System. There are 969 tutorials in the Learning System. Ladyada, what
talk about some of the
tutorials
new ones.
were here this week?
Okay, so I'll start from the left. We have the network thermal printer using Raspberry Pi and cups. This is an adaptation of a tutorial we posted on the blog, but what we did is we tested it with all of the thermal printers that we have in the store, and there's a couple small changes to make them all work, and just clarifications. But basically, if you have a Raspberry Pi, you can use cups, which is the printer manager, to control the little thermal printers we sell. And so if you want to, for example, turn your Raspberry Pi into like a little printer for graphics, or take photos with the Raspberry Cam and then print it out, you can use that without having to do any Python. You print it as if it was a file. You also print images off the web or whatever. It just shows up like a printer, and also it's networked, which means other devices can print to this little thermal printer. So this is kind of neat. This is really powerful. So Phil B did a great job. Like, he spent 3 solid days just going through every single thing and making sure it all worked, and like all the different pies, and Jessie Light and Wheezy. So that's really great and good, because a lot of people were having problems with the Python code. It's a little bit complicated to do it with raw Python commands. The Aloha Mora, I think it's how you say it, Aloha Mora bottle by Aaron St. Blaine. This is really neat. So this is like a little fairy bottle, and it has a lock and key as a switch. So to turn it on, you have to put the key in the lock, because it actually uses it as an electrical switch. And then there's those little key holes on the front of the bottle, and they're capacitive touch. So when you press them in certain orders, it will detect it and it will change the color effect. So by touching the bottle, it has different spells that are cast inside of it. So it's a really beautiful spell bottle. I love this.
Yeah,
and
it's
actually, it feels very magical, because you're just like touching these metal things, and you don't realize it's capacitive, but because it's hidden inside of the little pouch.
Any sufficiently advanced Adafruit learning guide is indistinguishable from magic.
From fairy magic.
Yeah.
Aaron makes lovely
Yeah.
fairytronics. Okay, and then we also have the guide for the RFM 69 HCW packet and RFM 9X LoRa packet radio breakouts, which we'll be talking about in the new products. It just has pinouts, explanation, how to use it, the software, example code, and all that good stuff. And then finally, we have the animated flame pendant. This is a really beautiful tutorial using a 3D printed enclosure for the PWM Charlie Plex matrices.
Yeah.
So we have these 9x16 LED matrices that are very high resolution, and they're Charlie Plexed. So, and you can control them with a single I2C bus, so that's like only 2 pins to control like 150 LEDs. And it can individually PWM each of the LEDs up to 8 bits, and so you can have like really beautiful animations and effects. And the chip also has support for animation, so you can set up frames and then triple buffer them or quad buffer them. So you can push all the frames out and then click a register basically to tick them off. So you can do beautiful animations. This is a good tutorial showing some things you can do with that Charlie Plex board.
Okay.
Charlie.
All right, moving right along. Back to Mailbag. Sorry. Nimbus, the cloud entity.
Back in time.
Yeah.
Let's just start over.
Yeah, well, there's packets and there's Nimbus and there's clouds. So we have some things this week. Adafruit.io is still in beta. It's just constantly getting improved upon. More and more makers are building projects with it. You can do all sorts of things with dashboards. Every week we've been doing an I/O update. This week we have a Raspberry Pi related one, so I can combine 2 segments. Yay, because we have a big show. So this week we are up to 10,506 users. There are 8,208 online feeds, 22,000 feeds total, 50 inserts per second via MQTT, 5 inserts per second via REST API, and Tyler selected his favorite guide. It was from Jeremy, and it shows a monitor PiCam and temperature on a Raspberry Pi with the Adafruit Pi TFT and Adafruit IO. So it specifically uses IO dashboards to display data. That's why it's very neat, and you should check it out. And it kind of combines all the things that we built stuff like this for the Pi for something like IO. So if you want to add dashboards, if you want to use Raspberry Pi, if you want to use the Internet of Things service that won't hurt your feelings, I promise. That's what it is. Okay, time travel. Look back in the world of makers, hackers, artists, engineers. This week is interesting because it marks something on the calendar that I'm just going to talk about because so Arduino has been going through this trademark thing with arduino.cc, which is the real Arduino, which is the founders of Arduino, which is Massimo and Tom and David. And that is Arduino. We help manufacture the Arduinos for arduino.cc. And there's another entity out there using the Arduino name. So last year at this time, we did a call to action because Arduino has worked with other partners and they've licensed the name. And when they licensed the name, it was clear. It said, this is being manufactured under license. And there was the packaging that said that. So they wanted to have a bunch of examples of that because if you have a trademark, if someone says, well, it's actually ours, and your response is, no, we licensed it to you, it said it on there, that's really what happened. You don't own it, we licensed it to you. We have agreements and documents. So anyways, everyone in the maker world posted their photos of this last year. So it's been a while. And so I guess the only thing I have to say, because we cover things in in the maker business world is, trademarks are important, and if something happens, it can take years to deal with. Years. So if it's worth doing,
there's discovery. And
if it's worth doing, like if you have a brand name or logo, it's worth doing a worldwide registered trademark.
We do a lot of trademarks for things. We will be doing a video series shortly, and one of the things about taking maker projects all the way to market, and one of the topics that I'm going to be talking about is protection. What protections do you want to have for your circuit? What protections you can get? But you actually can't copyright a circuit.
No,
right?
and I was going to say,
but you can trademark your brand name, or you can do a design patent for the enclosure if it's a design that is unique.
Here's the deal, folks. We do open source hardware. We knew from the start that there's nothing really to protect except for your name and logo. And so when someone makes a clone of our board, if they don't use our name and logo, it's okay.
That's fine. That's
it's okay, and that's open source hardware. What gets murky is when people make counterfeits, when they use your name. And that happened with Arduino. So there's counterfeit Arduinos out there. And it says Arduino, it says made in Italy, but it's not.
You can go and buy, knockoff Arduinos, of course. You can buy derivatives, you can buy, clones, but if it's actually used as the trademark or the logo, that's not okay. Because that's making it unclear who you purchased it from and who has to support it and refund you if it doesn't work out. And, they're basically riding on the goodwill that Arduino has built over 10, 15 years.
Yeah. So, anyways, that started a year ago, and it's still winding through the courts, as they say. Okay. 3D printing. Meep. Okay. We've got a few videos. The first one is the on-air sign. We're just gonna play it.
This is an internet-connected on-air sign. It'll light up whenever your favorite Twitch channel starts streaming. You can use this as a visual notification, or if you're a broadcaster, this will let the people know around you to be courteous. It uses an Adafruit Huzzah with ESP8266, or you can optionally use an Adafruit Feather M0 with Wi-Fi. You'll also need a strip of NeoPixel LEDs. The 4-piece enclosure is 3D printed, and it uses a transparent cover to diffuse the LEDs. The design files for the enclosure are free to download and modify. Visit the Adafruit Learning System for a full step-by-step tutorial on how to wire and assemble this simple circuit. Download the Arduino sketch from the Adafruit GitHub page and modify the code to add your Wi-Fi credentials and your favorite Twitch channel. The Adafruit Huzzah will automatically connect to your Wi-Fi network and light up the NeoPixels whenever your favorite Twitch channel starts streaming. Start assembling the enclosure by inserting the 3D printed diffuser into the faceplate and snap fit it into the frame. Fasten two number 440 screws into the Adafruit Huzzah and hold it over the standoffs to fasten them in place. Add a few pieces of double-sided scotch tape to the back of the LED strip. A few more pieces of the tape will secure the diffuser to the faceplate. Lay the top half over the case and fasten another set of screws into the back. Use a 5-volt power supply and a micro USB cable to power the circuit. You can mount the sign, hang it on your wall, or just set it on your desk. What internet project would you like to build? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more IoT projects from Adafruit.
But wait, there's
more.
Yeah, this is the Dragon Knocker. It is.
That's cool.
Knock knock, Game of Thrones. So, knock knock, come in for the red dinner. What was the red
the red
wedding?
wedding.
Yeah.
It was funny, Phil B. Dragon, I think when he saw that, he was like, oh my God, I have to print this now. Like,
Yeah.
he loves dragons, and so this is,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful print.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
And next up is one more video. Okie, don't forget tomorrow is 3D Hangouts, layer by layer, all of the 3D printing shows, a lot of stuff that you saw here, and they do live streams.
All the time.
Longest running live 3D printing electronics and more, and they just recently did this on AirSign.
If you build this on their sign, you will be notified when they're streaming. So this is why this project is a project that builds on itself.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. I also just love it. It's got that cool Art Deco look, and on the camera looks like it's on fire. It's like orangey.
Yeah.
It's actually very red. But
Okay. Well, before you go off to new products, Ladyada, extras to code.
Extra. Not
10%
advanced,
off
not
in
general.
the Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Okay.
Extra it up.
All right.
Okay.
Ladyada, it's new product time. Do your song.
New, 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 new.
Okay, it's new product time. First up, it's a remote.
This is the OSMC remote. It's not just any remote. It's a remote that is designed to be used with the Raspberry Pi if you turn it into a media center. And it's designed by It's actually designed and sold by OSMC. It's an RF remote, so you don't have to have line of sight. It's just a lovely remote. So if you want to turn your Raspberry Pi into a media center, this remote works automatically with OSMC, and it has a build for Raspberry Pi. So it just makes it like super easy for you to like immediately, you don't have to get a keyboard and like map the keys and figure out like what is the connection. And it's got like, lovely up and down and back and play and pause. Like, there's like hacks and stuff, but this is kind of nice.
Fun story about this. We did a Twitch broadcast.
Yes, Tony D ran OSMC on Pi 3.
Yeah, and they emailed us and they're like, hey, you should talk to us. We're like, you're right, we should.
And it's actually a good idea because they make an open source, a Linux distribution for Raspberry Pi. And so because of that, it's open source. They don't make any money by distributing it. And so they, maybe have some ads on their website, or maybe that's for donations. But it's really smart for them to say like, well, here we can make a hardware accessory that if you download the software for free, here's something you can purchase to help support the effort.
Yeah.
Smart. All right, so pick one up if you would like to support them.
That's right. Okay, next up, this is cool. This is from Cosmos. It's a wind power. It's big.
Okay,
and
this is bigger than you think.
Yeah, it's bigger than you think. I want to show a couple quick videos. you can hear the whirling.
Hard not to wobble it. You get it on for like good 3
And
seconds.
this is just some stuff that we
Sounds
shot
right.
here
Yeah, go for it again.
at
Probably
Adafruit.
moved it, too.
Yeah.
And it's
I
pretty.
think it's just someone spinning it with their hand.
Yeah, we are. And this is just to show you
All right.
that it is a fan that moves. And it's wind power. And it means that
You what?
when air hits it and spins it, you can get power from it.
That's correct. You get electricity from it.
You can get electricity from it.
And
So,
I can show this off. It's big, so
Whoa.
you have to go. Sorry, no, don't worry.
okay.
Okay, so this is it. This is why I actually like it. It's not like a little mini kit. So like we have people who email us and say, okay, well I want to learn how to like do like wind power, and Earth Day's coming up in a couple days. And so we have a couple solar projects. We didn't have any wind power. So this is actually really nicely made. It's actually basically a motor, right? It's a geared motor. You've got these really good light blades, but they're strong, connected to the shaft. And then there's a gearbox. There's another gearbox. There's a motor. And then on the back, there is a battery slot. So you can put, it's not super high current, so I think you put NiCad or nickel metal hydride rechargeable AA in here, and it will recharge the battery.
That's cool.
Or you can flip it to in or out. If it's out, it'll go the other way. The battery will
Power that.
drive the motor, and it'll turn into a fan. So it's a good way of learning, like, hey, you know, an LED is the opposite of a photocell. They're the same thing. Just a photocell is really big, and it's tuned for sunlight. And a fan in a wind generator is also the same. And so yeah, either you can tune, you can tweak and tune the
Oh, neat.
the fan blade. No, this
oh,
is like
yeah.
pretty intense. Like you can adjust it for best performance. You know, you're not probably going to get more than a couple milliwatts out of it, but this is, I mean, like this is way better than the little mini desktops. So you could put this on your roof
Yeah.
or in your backyard, and you could mount it, if necessary, to a large pole to learn about
Yeah.
wind power. So I think this is kind of neat. This is a nice kit. Most kits are much smaller, and
Yeah.
and so you can barely do anything. But
This is cool.
a nice big kit.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah.
And this is a suggestion from the new products team too.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Alon. Next up, there's a couple stars of the show besides you tonight. This is a series of things. We're into this.
Yeah, there's 4
Yeah.
items, and they all sound very similar. So I'll explain them. We have packet radio breakouts. These are data radios. These are not for streaming audio or video. I mean, you can maybe stream little pictures and like very, very low grade audio if you wanted to have super low audio, but it's not, this isn't like an FM or AM radio, and it isn't like it isn't even as fast as Wi-Fi. This is about like 9600 baud, 19.2 kilobaud radios that are meant for transferring data back and forth. Now, we already have radios in the store. We have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and those are really great when your Arduino microcontroller is talking to a tablet, iOS, Android, desktop Mac, desktop Windows. But there's trade-offs. For one, Bluetooth Low Energy, like it's not good for talking from one Arduino to the other, and also you can't do multi-point data. Wi-Fi, you can have all of them on a network, but it's a really high power thing, and you have to maintain this connection. Like you have to pair to the SSID, and then you can transfer data and then disconnect, and it takes up a lot of power. So what these radios are really good for is they can go much, much farther than Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. These can go about a mile or a couple miles each line of sight, and then divide by 5 or so if you're bouncing around some buildings. They don't use nearly as much power. You don't have to pair, and the protocol is very simple. Like you basically power up the radio, send some data, listen to some data, and turn it off. You can make your own mesh networks. You can make multi-point networks. You can make point-to-point networks. Some of these have encryption built into them as well if you want to do that. Some have subnet addressing. So these are much better for network nodes where you have in a city or a town or even a building, you want to transmit data around without having to have the overhead of Wi-Fi, and you don't want to do the point-to-point only, the one-to-one only of Bluetooth. They're actually a little bit like XBs, but they're a little less expensive because you're not kind of paying for the whole XB name. They're much simpler. So we have 2 families. We have the RFM 69.
Okay.
And that is a packet radio, and I'll show off the demo with it. This is the RFM69, and we have it in 2 frequencies. 900 megahertz, best for IT2 Americas.
Show the other one? Should I show the other one?
No, not yet.
Okay.
This one's great. We have it in 433 for Europe, and 900 megahertz for America. Pick the one for your zone. You can actually use 900 megahertz. You tune it to 868 in Europe. You can also do that. And if you're amateur radio and you have your call sign, which I don't have yet, you can use 433 in America with restriction. So here is the Feather version. So this is an all-in-one microcontroller board that has that radio on it. It also has a microcontroller, and I just have it battery powered. And this is my little helper. And I just attached a little wire antenna. So what this is going to do is...
I thought I was your little helper.
Okay, this is my little OLED helper. What's wrong with you? And when it gets a packet, it's going to print it out. So this has been streaming packets all along. So it gets packets, it says hello world. Okay, so if we remember that over there, and then we're going to introduce this other helper. So this is an Arduino compatible, and it has that breakout. And what this is doing is it's transmitting data to here, and whenever it transmits and it gets a response, an acknowledgement, it blinks the LED so it knows. So, 16, 17, 18, and this is a simple demo. All it is sending hello world with a number incrementing, so you know it's working. And this is right next to each other, but of course this could be about a mile apart. So just imagine my desk is a mile long, and it is happily transmitting data back and forth. These radios are pretty easy to use. There's some awesome libraries that exist for them. SPI works with, so far I've tried a couple different chips and it works fabulously. You can use either the Low Power Labs, RFM69 library, or you can use Airspace's Radiohead library, which you can also listen to while you can use while listening to OK Computer. And these radios, unlike the Feather, you can use more than just a wire. For example, here I have it connected to a large 900 megahertz dipole, and I'm using a UFL. This is a UFL connector, so you can solder a UFL connector, and it stopped blinking because it's no longer sending packets at a strong enough. It's receiving them, but this won't reply unless the strength is higher than a certain amount. So you can use a UFL and attach it for a box or something. And UFLs are small and easy to connect, so that's good. You can also use, let me get my demo. 1 second. You can also solder in an SMA connector. So if you want to connect your antenna directly, you can get an edge mount SMA. I really love these connectors. You solder it on, you solder it in, and then you can just attach it directly to an antenna. This is mechanically much stronger than the UFL.
It's fun because you can go like that. That's the
You
fun part.
can do this all day
That makes a sound.
if you want. Decide horizontal, vertical, whatever. Long, bent, so you can attach an external antenna that way, or you can go simple and then have just your simple wire antenna. If you don't need the distance, perhaps, or if you want to just not spend extra money, that's fine. Just attach a piece of wire, and this is good for most uses as well. So that's the RFM69 HCW. So this one is good for about 500 meters up to 500 meters with just wires and point to point. And I think if you have some directional antennas and you tweak the settings, you can maybe a little bit slower on the bit rate. You could probably, I think you can go like a mile or so, maybe a mile or two. I don't remember the exact number, maybe 1.2 miles or something. When you're doing point to point, of course, you'd want to get your directional antenna for that if you know how far you want to get to it. Or maybe the transmitter has a dipole and then you have a directional on the receiver. Okay, so you're thinking, that's really great that you can go 500 meters or maybe a mile or something. But let's say I want to go even further. I want to go maybe a couple of kilometers or maybe a couple miles. You can do that with LoRa radios. So LoRa radios are also digital radios. Can you go to 72? Yes. Okay. So the RFM 9X LoRa radio. You might be thinking these look identical, and you're right. They look very, very similar. But
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, they look really, really similar. But the LoRa radios have a patented modulation scheme, a spread spectrum scheme that allows it to work over very, very long distances for the same amount of power. So for that same 20 dBm output, instead of going 500 meters, you can easily go 1.5 kilometers, 2 kilometers. We found like 4 to 5 times farther than normal packet radio with this modulation. Again, look at the product pages for the exact. We did some measurements, and we're doing more measurements all the time with different antennas and such to get you good ideas. But someone did say they did a LoRa radio, and they got 20 kilometers out from
Wow.
these radios using directional antennas. So
that patent really does work.
No, I mean, like Semtech, which makes the chips, they bought a company that, I was reading about it, they bought the company that came up with it. It was a French company, and they got it for like $5 million, and I was thinking, wow, that's a bargain.
Okay. Is there any other ones you want me to show? Because the thumbnails look kind of similar.
They all look similar. I think this last one is the 433 megahertz version. Yeah, it has a red dot, but they are different protocols. There's very similar pins because it's actually 2 different chips from the same company. One is the lower cost packet, and one is the LoRa packet. So, the LoRa one, you can also apparently do FSK or OK, with it. But honestly, I wouldn't pay for LoRa and then use it with this non-LoRa modulation. I would get the simpler RFM 69 packet radios for that. But we have these larger ones. Just remember, they can't talk to each other. So if you have an RFM 69, you can't talk to a LoRa with it. You have to. The LoRa modulation only works between 2 LoRa modules of the same frequency. So just keep that in mind. But you can have a whole bunch of devices on the same modulation and frequency band if you want. So if you have a greenhouse and you want to have multiple sensors, or you have a home and you want to have multiple sensors, or a building or a town, and you want to take weather data from different locations and collect it, this can be really good. And of course, these radios can go into very, very low power modes, much lower, and then come up instantly. Unlike Wi-Fi, where you have to come up and associate and pair and then get DHCP and get your, this is like you bring it up and you send a packet and you're down again all within 10 milliseconds.
What a great time to be a hobbyist. I wish I could send like this video, or maybe I already did, because I was thinking the maker movement was going to be fun. Like this video back in time, 10 years ago, like this is all low cost, low power, very easy to use. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
Yep.
That's so cool. Okay, well, good work, Ladyada.
Okay.
That was the new products, folks.
It's time to play with radios.
Yeah, all right. New. Okay. All right. Code's extra. 10% off.
Extra.
Any of these things you see that's in stock, you can get 10% off. And if you want to see great live electronics programming, like the show's brought to you by Adafruit, please buy some electronics. Makes it possible to do all this stuff. Okay, let's kick it off, Ladyada, with some questions. We're gonna ask some questions.
Answer the questions.
Yeah, we're gonna do a speed round. Okay, if someone wants resources for LoRa to work with Adafruit.io, what will they do?
You would have to make a gateway. And actually someone did, I found a GitHub account where somebody made a gateway, but basically you would have something like a Raspberry Pi or a Wi-Fi device that was transmitting the packets back and forth. There's no automatic, like LoRa is not Wi-Fi compatible. You basically have to go, you'd have to build your own gateway, which is something we're thinking of doing, but haven't done yet.
Okay, next up. So as far as like regulatory or FCC stuff, because that's always a popular question, anything with radio, because you hear if it's a emitter or whatever, what is the issues or no issues or concerns for hobbyists who want to play with these?
There's the ISM bands. So if you're in America or ITU2, you can use the 915 megahertz. It's called band, and that's the ISM band. So it's got you don't have to have a license to use it, which is really nice. And these radios do have FCC and ICS, and I don't remember all the European names, but for each one, it should have those documents linked. If you're going to use this in a product, depending on your antenna or any other amplification you add, or your non-emitter part, you may still have to get certification. But if you're using it within the ISM band, and you're using it, as is, the module as is, because all we did is basically give you a connector output for an antenna. If you're just using a non-active antenna, you should be good under the SC regulations.
Okay.
Again, if you're making a product, you're going to have to go.
Yeah,
if you're marketing something, you're going to have to start all over and get your product certified.
All bets are off. Got to start over. But this will help you along the way. Okay, next up. What antenna should we use with the SMA connection?
You can just use these like little dipoles. You can get. I mean, we don't carry them, but I got these from DigiKey. One even has a DigiKey sticker still on it.
Are those from WaveBubble?
Yeah.
These are from the
These are really old.
cell phone jammer that our Ladyada made.
Yeah, but I had to get these really good antennas to try.
I
don't know.
remember these.
So yes, these are
Yeah.
this is the 868, and so you can get antennas that are tuned for the 915, or if you're in Europe, 433.
Okay. Looks like you can solder an SMA connector to the LoRa boards. Will we sell them that way separately?
No.
Okay.
Because if you do that, you can't use UFL. So I decided, you know what, if you're going to be doing these if you're comfortable with soldering, I mean, you have to solder header onto them anyways. You should solder and decide which antenna you want to go with, because you can only go with one or the other.
I don't know if the certifications are the same for Canada. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. You can check. All the documentation we have is there.
Yeah,
and
everything
then
we have, we have.
Everything we have, and the modules we don't actually make the modules. So Hope RF makes them, and so on their page they also have some more documentation for the modules themselves. And then if you want even more information, Semtech makes the chip. So the chip itself that does all of the work essentially is on the Semtech webpage, and I have the part number on each product because the LoRa radios have a different part number, and then they can give you more details if you want to know like duty cycle and baud rates and stuff.
Okay.
They're quite complicated radios. They do a lot.
Okay, next up, how many LoRa radios could you connect?
As many as you want. I mean, they're just make sure that, you know, when they transmit, so you'll have to make sure that they don't transmit over each other, but as you can connect as many, you can have thousands if you'd like. They're just all sending data at once.
If you want to control 2 5-volt microservos by Bluetooth, what microcontroller board do you recommend?
I would get a Bluefruit Feather, because that has the Bluetooth LE and a 32U4, and so you could just control servos using the servo library.
Yeah, okay. Kareem wants to know, what are some good tips of being a good programmer? I would just say take on projects, even if you were to do something like charity work, where someone needs help and you can help them towards their goals, and then you can learn skills. Project-based stuff is usually what people suggest. Next up, for the Raspberry Pi Zero, will Adafruit ever produce again? Well, we don't make these.
We don't make them.
Yeah, but we do put them in. We have a Raspberry Pi Zero FAQ. We do put in packs, and we put in individual units. Thousands and thousands of people got them. Just check out the FAQ, sign up, and when we put them in stock, you'll get notified. It just takes a while to get through the list.
Yeah.
How far did you get through to the mass storage bootloader on Circuit Playground board?
You know what? I did get it working on Windows, where it works lovely, but under Mac, the problem is that because macOS makes all those like DS store files, it was confusing the bootloader. And then under Linux, it also does some weird stuff, and so it wasn't working so consistently there. And then I decided to go back and stick to the Flora bootloader, basically for the most compatibility. So for at least the developer edition, it's going to be the kind of plain UART CDC bootloader. The mass storage bootloader is cute, but I don't think there's a lot of benefit to it. And I like that the UART bootloader has like auto reset and stuff built in.
Okay. Next up, trying to get to some older ones that were posted up here. So the question is, can I replace on the Power Boost 1000C the JST connector where the battery is plugged in with a micro USB socket that my power bank uses?
I mean, I wouldn't, because the JST is for a battery.
I don't think it's not like the same pins.
Yeah, I don't
think it'll work out.
I don't
You'd have to do a bunch of testing to see like if it's...
That's some hard hacking. I don't know exactly what you're trying to do.
Yeah, okay. Are the constant rotation servos the same as the 9G servo?
Are they the same size?
Yeah, are your constant rotation servos the same size as 9G servo?
Not necessarily, I don't think so. I think they're slightly different. They're very similar size, but I don't think they're exactly the same size.
What's the best way to learn how to develop hardware? Well, I'd say sign up for the Maker Business newsletter, because we post lots of resources in there, and then go to the Maker Business section on the Adafruit site, and then look at all of the articles. I'll say this right now, there are a ton and I mean a ton of hardware accelerators, all telling people how to do hardware. So some of the advice is good, some of it isn't. Figure out what works for you. And
Playing around.
yeah,
I've been doing this for like 10 years.
I'll
still
say
learning.
it's one of those things where it's kind of like the trends that you see with like diet and exercise. At some point, everyone's just talking about doing it. And so I'm a little nervous once in a while because there was so much emphasis on these billion-dollar payouts with Nest and Oculus Rift, and everyone's like, hardware is the next software. And there's just a lot of accelerators and a lot of venture funds that are doing hardware. And so everyone has opinions on how to do it. So check out a lot of places. I'll say the articles that I liked the most recently was from Bolt. And,
Yeah, those are
I remember the last guy's name because, of course, it's a memorable name. I think it's Ben Einstein.
Yeah, he's an Einstein.
Yeah, and Kate, she did a meetup in New York, and she does in other places. I thought Bolt was pretty good.
Yeah,
so
very.
there's some resources. Okay, we'll try to get through. What is your favorite tool while troubleshooting PCBs?
Oscilloscopes.
Okay,
Those were great.
all right. Advice for being motivated to program. That you're
A
gonna
good project.
That you're gonna have to find. You have to know yourself. Well,
Yeah.
that's-
Know thyself.
Peter Drucker has a good book, Managing Oneself. Read it. Next up. Okay, we got through that set of questions over there.
Okay.
I know we're a couple minutes over, but let me
No,
just
like
see
you're
if
do
there's-
it. Whatever.
I know. Okay, we got through them.
Okay.
We got to it.
Yes.
Okay, we're doing more
One
because I just saw this one. Question from a newbie. I want to connect an Adafruit Bluefruit LE shield with the Arduino Micro. For this, should I connect the MISO in the Bluetooth with the MISO in the Arduino, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not really designed for. Well, the Arduino Micro actually has the. Yeah, it's going to be weird because you're going to have to trace it out. But yeah, you want to connect all the SPI pins to that 2x3 header, and then you'll have to grab. There's a couple other pins you'll need, like the chip select and IRQ lines. And you'll have to match those up. It's
Okay.
possible. It's just not designed for what you're doing. So you're going to have to experiment a little bit.
Okay, yeah. Someone mentioned coffee as a good motivator for programming. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone.
Low self-esteem works for me.
Yeah. I mean, Adafruit is going to be up to 100 people eventually soon. I think a big motivation is figuring out what your cause is. What is the thing that you want people to know that you've done? What are the people that you want to help? So if you can figure out a good cause, usually a business can come out of that. Usually a effort can come out of that. You can also find people that want to work on that same cause with you.
Yeah.
Maybe your cause is working on a site that helps people donate to charity. Maybe your cause is helping people get to places quicker, like Uber or something. You have to figure out what your cause is, and I think that's a big motivator.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. We are going to do a trivia question later.
Yes.
What are the rules for trivia?
The rules are you can only win once per lifetime, so you cannot win a prize if you've won something on this show ever before. We want to give everybody a shot at winning. Whoever answers the question that Phil comes up with will win a prize of 2 RFM 69 radios. Ooh. We'll send you 2 of these radios so you can talk to each other. And if you have 2 Arduinos or Raspberry Pis or something, you can talk to them about 500 meters away. Isn't that lovely?
Okay.
I think so.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, the trivia question this week is, Ladyada took her ham radio exam at a building of a television network. Which TV network was it? We showed a photo. If you were watching the show, you knew it. It was iconic. What was it?
Wasn't Comedy Central.
It was not Comedy Central.
I guess we're looking on Twitch, on
Twitch,
Facebook.
Facebook.
Oh,
Okay, Mr. Certainty in Twitch, congratulations, you got it.
Twitch is fast.
Yeah, Mr. Certainty, you won. It was close, but Mr. Certainty, you won email support@adafruit.com.
Nice.
That's right, it was the ABC building.
This is where they have them in Midtown. You can go
Yeah.
every month.
By the way, what a beautiful logo. Just is.
That is a really nice logo.
Yeah. Okay, that is
Okay.
our show for this evening. Oh, Mr. Certainty, when you email, you should tell them what did they win?
Was it 30? Hold on.
Oh.
I can't use this. Oh, God, I'm scared of him. This one, this is 3070. So
Yeah.
tell them that you get 2 PID 3070, product number 3070,
Yeah.
and you will be able to connect them together.
Yeah. So
You can
Mr.
make a little
Certain
thing that says hello world.
Yeah, Mr. Certain email support@adafruit.com, and you got product ID 3070. You got 2 of them. Thank you so much for participating. That's it for the show this week, everyone. Thank you so much. Again, paying some bills. We like doing these shows. We're going to be coming up on 7 years this year.
We have to pay for all these
Yeah.
giveaways. How are we going to keep affording to send people free stuff?
Yeah, postage, UPS fees, you name it. The code's extra all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Everything but software and gift certificates, OBS, as the young kids would say.
OBS?
OBS, OBVs.
Are you
Or maybe they're saying something else to me, I don't know.
The youth.
Yeah, on the Snapchats
Okay.
and the Insta-chat. So that's it for tonight. We'll see everybody. We have some Desk of Ladyada's coming up. We got 3D stuff coming up. We got Tony Desk coming up. We got Pseudo Random coming up. Ending.
We're probably going to be streaming
It's all
tomorrow.
about flow.
Flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a picture of a cat. He's by himself meowing, saying, "Where are you guys?
This cat is so
Where are you
upset.
guys?"
This
And,
cat is like, where are you? Where are you? Where are you?
Thank
Where are
you, everyone, Adafruit team, people working remotely, people working here, and all of you, the fans and friends of the company. Thank you. Here's your moment of Zener. Bye-bye.
Later.